ordered to provide hope. The soldiers have not heard from their loved ones, and their loved ones have not heard from them.
Hey guys, welcome to my SOFHAB Reviews series. This time, Rascal and I are covering the Netflix movie The 688, and joining us is none other than Rascal Entertainment.
Hello again.
Now, this movie also serves as an important film for Black History Month, as it's also a biopic about the first and only all-black female battalion in the Army, and their role in helping the soldiers' morale. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notifications on upcoming reviews, hacks, videos, and so much more.
Yes, thank you for joining us, subscribing to all of our channels, supporting us, and so much more. We appreciate you more than you know. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we thought it would be great to cover this. We had never heard of the 688 or the project or knew anything about it.
Right.
And then Netflix usually shows you like Worth the Wait or coming next week or coming soon. And we saw it and said, you know what, let's give it a try. We saw Kerry Washington. I've seen her in a couple of movies. And said, yeah, let's go ahead and give it a watch. We were very surprised to learn that it was a production by Tyler Perry.
Yes. Because
you know movies and shows he's done. And this is the first biopic that he's actually done.
Right.
So, for those of you not familiar with it, it's a 2024 war drama film written and directed by Tyler Perry on the 6,888th Central Postal Directorate Battalion. And it came out originally in December. December 6th in the U.S. and December 20th on Netflix.
Kind of.
And we thought, you know, why didn't you put it out for Black History Month? Why is it not premiering in February?
Yeah, why?
I think it would have done a whole lot better, but that's just our opinion.
Right.
It has a runtime of 127 minutes and a budget of $70 million. Now, we didn't know what to expect. Again, we didn't know anything about it, the production.
Right.
All we knew, Kerry Washington was in it. We didn't know about any of the other cast members. So, giving it just a chance and see what we think, as we've done with a lot of things on Netflix.
Right. And going into it, we just had literally a blind reaction to it. No preconceived notions, just saying, oh, that's interesting, and learning that this was a real group. Well, let's see what can we get from it. And in the beginning, you have to keep in mind that this is all based on events and probably recounts from the women who were in the battalion, and a few of them are actually still alive, as you'll see probably at the end of the movie when they have the pictures.
And the main one that is based on Lena Derrico.
Yeah.
She actually passed not long before the movie
premiered,
as you let me know.
Right.
And she was 101 years old.
Right.
And you see her as well as some of the other women who are in their 90s actually making appearances at the end.
Yes. And that's probably one of the best parts about it, is that you're seeing the best they can delivering the history of these women and their part in the war. And you're probably thinking, well, what did they do since they were not out on the field like other soldiers? What did they do? Well, for here, they were sent to deliver the mail to the soldiers, and it was really an event to give them something to do that they didn't believe that they would be able to accomplish. But the whole point of it was that the soldiers were not getting mail from loved ones and relatives who were at home, and vice versa. And in the beginning, they were thinking, oh, it's just a few letters they got to send to a few guys or a few people in the families and stuff, not thinking much of it, until they arrive at the base where all the mail is held, and they've got bunkers and bunkers filled of letters from either the soldiers or the soldiers' families that never got sent anywhere. That's just been holding up. And you never understood why they never just sent it out or gave them the mail. They think it was going to be what do they call it?
Maybe they didn't think it was important.
Yeah.
Priority, possibly.
Yeah, they're not a high priority, yeah.
Before we get to the rest of the movie, one thing that was absolutely hilarious and funny to us is in the beginning you see Lena Derrico, who is dating a character named Abram David, played by Greg Sulkin. Well, I didn't know his name. All I knew is when I saw him, I said, well, I've seen him before. I've seen him before. And then it popped into my head and said, oh my gosh, that's Mason from Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yes.
And you're like, are you sure? I'm positive that's him. And so while we're watching, I run and look it up, and sure enough,
yes.
I show it to Rascal, and she says, it is Mason, you're right.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
And it was funny because we had thought maybe 6 months before that, I wonder whatever happened to Mason.
Yeah.
Well, now we know he's still acting.
Yes.
And he's still recognizable.
Yes.
So it starts off with a love story where he wants to date her properly, and he said when he gets back, he's going to ask the mom and dad to properly date her. He wants to marry her. He tells her he wants to marry her when he gets back, and he's in love with her. And he's Jewish, and she's black. And so the mom and her family, they're not rude to him or anything. They were just kind of surprised she wants to date him. And his family, of course, isn't happy about it during the time period this came out.
That's a big thing to keep in mind. Yeah.
So the unfortunate thing is he is selected to go to war. And unfortunately, he gets killed.
Immediately, yeah.
Yes. And then you see on his chest, there's a letter that one of the other soldiers takes out and this took place in the 40s. And he takes the letter. And then you see the letter end up in a pile. And she doesn't get it. She's wondering what happened. And then the military comes and tells his family that he's died, and then she finds out. So Lena decides she wants to do her part and serve in the military, not just to serve her country, but she wants to find Abram.
Yeah.
And that is her goal. And so that is what the movie specifically shows. Her joining, her training, the conditions, as you said, under which the women served, and they did serve. They were not, not doing anything. They show you the training. It was just as difficult as everyone else's. The conditions they were in sometimes were very cruel, nasty, flooded with rodents. And their morale, no matter what happened, they stayed positive. They were determined to serve their country. And I think that's one of the things that is inspiring about it. Because again, as Rascal said, you are getting this story directly from the women this happened to.
Right.
And so you see that, and then within the movie you see she finally finds where he's buried. And she breaks down and she cries and she talks to him, and then at that point she moves on. But it was her main goal to find him. And then the second main goal is showing how these women, despite the treatment they were receiving and the impossible task of delivering and finding who these letters belonged to, because you couldn't see them, the mail had gotten wet, they didn't know where the people were stationed because it was a war and they were constantly moving. And then unfortunately, many of them had ended up being taken out, killed during the war. But one thing that I think is really important that no one mentions is it's not fluff. And it may not seem to us that getting letters would be important to either the soldiers or, as you said, the families of the soldiers. But then when we were watching it, I thought about our Nana. And all three of her brothers were in the military. 2 in the Army, 1 in the Air Force. And I remember her showing me, she had this little pouch and she had saved every letter and every postcard she got. Now, of course, they weren't serving during the 40s. They served in the latter war. But it was important to her, so important that even after she passed, we found she still had these letters and postcards. So thinking about her and how she kept those and how much it meant to her to have those things, then I could empathize and say, well, it had to be very important to both sides to not only know they're okay, but if they weren't okay and they had passed, to know the truth of what happened and to get closure.
Right.
And then, as you mentioned, for the morale of the soldiers to know their families were thinking about them and loving them and supporting and praying for them, sending them packages. Some of them got packages where the cookies and things were old, but they were finally delivered.
Yes.
Also, at the end of the movie, you find out they got awarded medals of honor and they got presidential honors.
Yes.
Because of the things that they did and more that is explained in the movie. So, do we recommend watching it? Yes. If you're looking for something for this month, or just something in general to learn more about the history of the United States,
Right.
regardless of how that history is, I think a good movie to watch.
Yes. And it's something that really does fit more for Black History Month more than December, because it's really more historical. It is educational. Yes, it's through a Hollywood lens, but it hasn't been so chopped up where you couldn't take it seriously, or you felt like they were adding to it, or they added something to make it more a pizzazz and make it more interesting by adding things that didn't happen. We, so far as we know, in terms of reading, researching before doing this, they haven't done a bunch of altering history type events in the movie to make it look more dramatic than it was, because we do know people were thinking, well, maybe they made more than it was just to make it look important. Well, as far as we know, no. Everything you're seeing in here is 99% accurate.
And you're seeing pictures from the movie as well as original pictures of the battalion. I'll put a link to a Tudum article titled "The 6888 Tells the Heroic Story of the 6,880th Battalion." Nicole Avant and Tyler Perry share their journey to bring history to the screen. It's a really nice article, and you can read that if you want to know more. And lastly, but not least, a quick shout out to the main cast, because there were some major players portraying Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt, Mary McLeod Bethune, and a couple of other people. Kerry Washington as Major Charity Adams, Ebony Obsidian as Lena Derricott Bell King, Dean Norris as General Halt, Sam Waterston as Franklin Roosevelt, Oprah Winfrey as Mary McLeod Bethune, Susan Sarandon as Eleanor Roosevelt, Malona Jackson as Captain Noel Campbell. You have a very big cast. We're going to go through everyone, but these are the ones, and Greg Sulkin is Abram David. But these are the main ones that you probably are familiar with. It got mixed reviews. Some saying it was good, some saying it was weak. Some were mixed or average. Rotten Tomatoes, who's rotten, gave it a 52%. And some people think that Kerry Washington's portrayal was hamming it up. I think they did a great job. And for me, I was very surprised to see this from Tyler Perry, because you know the type of movies and things he's made. He did a really great job on this. And the cinematography is absolutely beautiful.
Definitely.
The costumes are accurate down to the point, as you can see from the pictures you've been seeing, and the women were portrayed respectfully, and I think that is one of the most important things of all. You can't change the past, you can't change the events that happened, but we can learn from them and learn something that positively happened during that time period in our history, in our country, that did a lot to boost morale and spread love for the soldiers as well as the women who helped deliver the letters to the soldiers and their families. So if you've seen the 6888, let us know in the comments. If you haven't, it's available on Netflix to stream exclusively as far as I know. And if you have seen it, tell us what you think. Did you like it? Did you think it was interesting as we did? Would you recommend others who are not familiar with this history and this story watch it? Again, it's perfect for February. Give it a watch. Come back. Tell us what you think.
And if you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification dates on upcoming reviews, hacks, videos, and so much more.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us, Rascal. We always appreciate you.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us for this review. I appreciate it so much that you check out the Netflix reviews that we do. And we hope you find some things that are interesting to you, fun to you, and enjoyable, and help to brighten your day. Just a little. So,
thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal.
I'm Julie.
Have a fantastic day.
Continue to be happy, healthy, whole, and also wonderful, my specials. See you next time.
This is our mission. And we will not fail.